What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JDD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and we are coming at you today with a Bundesliga predictions. That's right, I do it every year, and this year I'm going to take a look at the Bundesliga 2022-2023 season, and I'm going to rank the teams and how I think that they're going to finish. I haven't really thought about it too much, so I have a nice little tier list set up, so we're going to really just go through the process together. Thought that'd be an interesting way of doing it, so hopefully you guys are excited for it. If you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into my predictions now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The tier list is set up. At the top of the table, you have first place in the champions. Second through fourth will be the Champions League places. Fifth through seventh will be for the rest of the European places. Then you got 8th through 9th, 10th through 12th, 13th through 15th, just avoiding relegation. And then, of course, 16th through 18th. Two of them are getting relegated. One will go through the relegation playoffs. So let's start at the bottom. I'm going to put in my 18th place team. So just taking a look right off the bat, teams that I think are going to struggle. I mean, you obviously can take a look at the promoted teams, Schalke, Werder Bremen, but I don't think that they're going to be relegated. I'm looking at Augsburg right away as a team that I think will really, really struggle. I also think Bochum will struggle. I think that they lost a few key pieces. I think they had a really good season last year. Overachieved a little bit in my eyes. And then probably, I'm going to say Werder Bremen. So I'm going, and we'll go read it this way, I guess. So I'm going to go in dead last 18th place Augsburg. And I put Augsburg in the relegation zone every season, and they always seem to avoid it. I don't know how, but they always do. I think this is going to be their season. They lost a couple key pieces up top. I mean, they're just that team that just seems to be destined for it eventually. How many times can your luck just save you? I think it's going to run out this season. I'm going to put them in dead last place with Bochum going down, losing Sebastian Polter as well as a big loss for them. I like what they did last season, but I think it was kind of one of those Sheffield United type stories where they had a really positive season after getting promoted, and then the second one just kind of falls apart. And I don't see Bochum really doing it this year. I think Werder Bremen is going to go in 16th in that playoff relegation. I hope that they avoid relegation. I do like Werder Bremen as a side. I think they'll be a much better side than the one that got relegated a few seasons ago. They had a positive performance in the Bundesliga too, so I'm going to put them in promotion. My way too early pick is that they're going to avoid the relegation promotion battle. They're going to be safe. They're going to stay. So it's going to be Bochum and Augsburg going down, and Werder Bremen just managing not to get relegated. So now we're going to go up into 15th, and that's where I'm going to slot in Schalke. I like some of the pieces that they put in. I mentioned Sebastian Polter, but I also really like Jordan Larsson. Now, this deal isn't quite done yet. Larsson was playing in Russia, obviously, with the war going on there. He got his contract canceled, and he's up for grabs. I think he's a very talented young player, and I think if he goes into this Bundesliga system playing in Schalke, he could be a real big player. And because of those goals that I think they're going to add to this team, I'm going to have them just avoiding out on the relegation and being mediocre finish, but 15th place for a team that was just horrible a couple seasons ago isn't too bad. Now it starts getting interesting. 14th and 13th. I mean, Mainz catches my eye as well. I want to put them up there, and probably, I don't know, Cologne and Stuttgart also have my attention. I think Hertha Berlin is probably Hertha. Hertha always seems like a team that is going to struggle, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Hertha. So I'm going to go Schalke in 15th. Mainz as well. I think that they're a solid team. They find a way to not get relegated each and every year. I don't think they're going to fly up towards the middle of the table, but I think a respectful 14th is good. And then 13th for Hertha, a team that, I mean, was so close to getting relegated. There's no denying that. I think they're going to struggle once again. 13th isn't a convincing finish, but I think there's going to be some pieces in there. Luka Bacchio coming back, very talented winger, can play in the middle as well. I think that'll help them a lot to kind of balance this team out a little bit and hopefully push up to try to get into that mid-table. Now taking a look at 12th, the other names I was looking at, Cologne for sure. I'm going to say Stuttgart as well. And probably Union Berlin. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. We're running out of... Ooh, I don't know. This is getting tricky. A lot of good teams still left in here. I like what Freiburg does. I like what Union does. Oh, this is going to be tricky. I'm going to say for sure in 12th will be Cologne. And then Stuttgart in 11th, decent finish. I mean, Stuttgart, I could be a bit of that wild card. I think they could go a little bit up and down the field. I don't really know. And then in 10th place. Like, there's a lot of good clubs remaining. I think balancing out Europe could be difficult for Union Berlin. PFOC has come in to replace now. He's already looked pretty convincing so far, but doesn't mean that he's going to be able to find the back. I think kind of doing that balancing act from playing in Europe as well as just trying to recover for the Bundesliga. I think a 10th place finish is pretty decent, and losing their best striker, Awania, over to Forest is always difficult. So I think for that reason, I'm going to put Union in 10th place. If PFOC can hit the ground running like he did in Switzerland last year, there's a good opportunity they can push a little bit further. But it's always difficult to balance out that act. And I guess you could argue Union did it last season, but eventually with your squad, it's going to kind of come up to you. So I'm going to put them in 10th place right now. And then it starts getting down. And the next two come to mind is probably going to be Freiburg and Hoffenheim. Now, if Angelino goes to Hoffenheim, I think that's a massive, massive signing. I was very surprised to hear that he was interested in leaving RB Leipzig to go to Hoffenheim. The deal's not done yet, but I think that there's a lot in that team. Angelino, I think, could be playing for a top 4 Champions League club in a bunch of different leagues, or even the top 6, a couple teams in England, I think could be interested in him. Freiburg as well are going to be an interesting team to balance out with Europe once again. They had a really positive season last year, picked up a couple key pieces. But between the two, I think kind of like Union, they're just going to slip a little bit down to 9th, 8th place for Hoffenheim. And then we get into the Europa Conference League place in 7th. And I'm going to, it's difficult. I'm going to probably put Gladbach there. And I'm being very kind to Gladbach. I think that they had a brutal season last time out. It was one to absolutely forget for them. They were rumored to lose Playa. Embolo moved on as well. Thuram was looking to go back to Liga. It's an interesting one. It really is. And I'm not exactly sure where I want to put them. I'm not convinced with Farke coming. I don't think Daniel Farke is going to do a whole bunch for this team, but I think they were such underachievers last year that kind of pushing their way up the pitch, because there's still a lot of good players, good attacking players. They can be very deadly. So with that being said, there's a lot of question marks I think I have around Gladbach. They could easily, in my opinion, slip back into that 10th to 12th. But I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt that they're going to recover, because there are a lot of talented players there. They kept on to Thuram. They kept on to Playa. Embolo did, like I mentioned, went to Liga. Those other two were linked to Liga. I mean, Lucien Favre going back to Nice was apparently going to take all their players. So they're an interesting story. They're definitely going to be one to watch for me, but I'm going to give them that Europa Conference League place in 7th. And then we get down to the 6th, and there's a lot of good teams here. And I'm going to put Frankfurt in 6th. I think that obviously being the Europa League winners will be playing in the Champions League. Don't know how they're going to do in the Champions League. I'd like to see them try to maybe make it out, but if anything, even go to the Europa League if they finish in 3rd. They're going to have a lot of European football this season. I don't think there's a lot of debate around that. But they had a bit of a mediocre season in the Bundesliga as well. So I think just a second season once again for Oliver Glasner is going to be able to hopefully balance his team out a little bit. He's a very good manager. I liked him with his time at Wolfsburg. They got Mario Götze coming in. They're adding a little bit of depth as well with some of that Champions League money that they picked up. It was a poor season, let's be honest, in the Bundesliga, but when you win the Europa League, that's what you're going to remember for a team like that. So I think a good 6th place finish to get back in the Europa League spot, balancing out the Champions League. Hopefully Mario Götze can find his best form once again. It's excited to see him back in the Bundesliga. So I'm going to put them in 6th place leading up to the final Europa League spot. And this one, once again, is interesting, but I'm going to give it to Wolfsburg. Now, I'm a huge fan of Niko Kovac. I know that a lot of Bayern fans didn't like the job he did there, but I was super impressed of what Kovac did with Frankfurt before going to Bayern. I thought he did an okay job at Bayern, nothing special. And I was really impressed with what he did at Monaco before getting sacked there. I think he's going to bring a lot of balance to kind of like Gladbach. I was kind of hoping that Kovac was going to go to Gladbach. I felt like that style could have really suited him. But if he wasn't going to go to Gladbach, I thought that Wolfsburg would have been a nice fit once again. I think he's going to get this team playing a lot better, completely change the perspective of that Wolfsburg team, get them back into contention for a top 4 place. I don't know if he's going to quite get there because the top 4, I think, kind of almost speak from themselves, but I think Wolfsburg will have a big bounce back season, be able to push for one of those places. And I'm going to put them in 5th right now comfortably. Excited to see what Niko Kovac can do, which leaves the Champions League positions. And in 4th place, I'm going to go with Leverkusen. I think Leverkusen, Tijuana did an incredible job last year. I was impressed with that team. Kind of looked for a little bit there towards the end. They were maybe going to slip out of that top 4, but they solidified it. They got it. They're going to be playing in the Champions League. They kept the majority of their squad. Diaby was a big one, a piece that Newcastle was looking to get at. Schick obviously is an incredible goal scoring form. Alario obviously moved on and joined with Frankfurt, which is going to give them a couple more goal scoring opportunities through Frankfurt, which is why I put them a little bit higher. But when it comes to Leverkusen, I just think they're a Champions League team. I think that it's going to be a good little race, but I want to see them in that 4th place spot. And then in 3rd, I'm going with RB Leipzig. And Leipzig's an interesting one for me because, I mean, Tedesco completely turned this team around. They looked like they weren't going to be able to make the Champions League. They went on an incredible run. They went on to win the Pokal. There's a lot of talent there. They just got Schlager once again, bringing a big piece in the midfield from Wolfsburg. I like what a lot of this team is going to do. Silva, you'd expect to have a better season under Tedesco starting right from the off. I mean, switch up his numbers, grab the number 19. And keeping Nkunku is massive as well. Like, this is a good team. They could probably push Dortmund and Bayern for the top. But I just think with a couple pieces, I mean, David Raum coming in with Angelino going out, a couple swaps there. They're still a big, solid team. But I don't know if there was enough improvement to really push for that first. I mean, they'll definitely be able to push for second with Borussia Dortmund, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome them. I think that Dortmund will have just a little bit too much. But Dortmund's an interesting one. Once again, Terzic comes back in. He did an incredible job, but there's a lot of doubters out there that said that he was only able to pull it off because it was kind of like luck. He came into a bad situation, turned it around. I think there's a lot more to Terzic than that. The passion's going to be able to hopefully get this team playing. He's looking to get out some dead weight. I like the signings of Adeyemi was a big one, an impressive one. Of course, Schlotterbeck and Süle are going to completely change the complexion of that back 3/back 4, whatever Terzic is going to play with. And of course, Sebastian Haller. And that's the big piece that I wanted to see get brought in, a proper out-and-out number 9. And unfortunately for him, that terrible news happened, and we wish him a quick recovery. But it changes the complexion. I don't know who Dortmund's going to bring in at this time of recording, whether it's going to be like a Cavani, Anthony Modeste, whoever it's going to be, but it's got to be the right piece. I don't know exactly who's going to be. You've heard Simeone even linked there, but it has to be. I'd like to see Cavani because a 1-year deal, bring him in. He's still a prolific striker. Hopefully he can score some goals. Have Nkunku learn from a player like Cavani, and then have Sebastian Haller comes back. It makes the most sense to me, but that's a huge question mark. I'd have been a lot more confident with Dortmund pushing a little bit further this season if they could have had a healthy Sebastian Haller, but they don't, unfortunately. And that leaves the first place going to Bayern. No massive surprise. Let's not kid ourselves. When it comes to Bayern, this is going to be interesting. And I went out multiple times and said they lost Robert Lewandowski. This is like losing. No other player can lose a player as valuable as Robert Lewandowski. He is the best goal scorer that I've ever witnessed in my life. And it's the best probably striker ever been seen in the Bundesliga. And that's a massive player when you can score those many goals, those record-breaking goals, and you just get plucked out and then you don't really properly replace him. Sadio Mane is a fantastic player and is going to bring a lot to this Bayern side, but I don't know if he's going to be able to replicate those goals. I don't think he will. Maybe he can get to 20, and if he can, that's fantastic. And you look for other pieces like Gnabry, Sané, Thomas Müller scoring these type of goals, but I think this is going to be a very different Bayern team. I'm also thinking we're going to see a lot more of Nagelsmann's stamp. You've seen already in preseason the 4-2-2-2. You've seen the 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2. It's going to be a very different looking Bayern team to that 4-2-3-1 we were used to. And I thought Nagelsmann used a lot of that system last year and kind of changed the shape. But with Gravenberch and Mazraoui coming in, you're going to see a very different looking team. And that's always the debate, was whether the players will buy into the system and he can get it going. So I think between Nagelsmann putting his own personal stamp and losing Lewandowski, this Bundesliga season could be a lot more interesting. But at the end of the day, Bayern hasn't really proved that they're going to drop the ball anytime soon. So with that being said, I put them at the top. So that is how it shapes up. Bayern will be the champs once again. You got Dortmund, Leipzig, and Leverkusen rounding out the Champions League spots. You got Wolfsburg and Frankfurt in the Europa League spots, with Gladbach the Conference League. And then the middle of the pack goes Hoffenheim, Freiburg, Union, Stuttgart, Cologne, Hertha, Mainz, Schalke. Relegation/promotion playoff place goes to Werder, where I'm picking them to stay up, and then Bochum and Augsburg going down. Now, will I be right? Probably not. But that's the fun part. Now that's where you guys come in. So let me know down in the comments if you guys agreed with my tier list, if you didn't like a lot of it. Do you think there'll be new champions? Do you think one of the other big clubs can push Bayern, or do you think they'll take it again? What about the relegation battle? Any clubs that down there not really do it for you? Maybe Augsburg, they prove me wrong every year. Let me know. It's always fun to do these Bundesliga predictions. This is my third year now, I think, doing it, and I mostly get them wrong. So it's always for fun. But let me know down in the comments your guys' thoughts and opinions. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. And as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, friends.